Assalamu alaikum, I'm Nadia Abu El Dahab, and in this video I have challenged myself to redesign the Egyptian banknotes. Previously I've talked about the history of the Egyptian banknotes, I've deconstructed the current Egyptian banknotes, and I've also mentioned that Egypt is supposed to, one day, be making new polymer banknotes. If, like me, you're interested in design and Egypt, you would have known that back in 2016 there was actually a Facebook kind of challenge, and it encouraged a lot of Egyptian designers to think of designs for new currency. I didn't do it then, but I'm gonna do it now. I feel like with a lot of my research that I've done, I've got a little bit of a clearer mind of what is expected, what I could put there, ideas, objectives, etc. If you don't know already, I'm a graphic designer, so that kind of puts the pressure on me a little bit. I want to be like, look at this cool thing I designed. I don't know anything, but I am a designer by degree. so we need to push some culture, show the world and Egypt that your country, Egypt, is full of a lot of things. What should we put on the banknotes? So I've written a list of things that I like or wouldn't mind to be included in the banknotes. Not quite sure, controversial. We've gone mosques since the beginning of Egyptian banknotes, since 1899. And now, should we continue and include the other religions that exist in Egypt? Animals. Animals appear on a lot of modern banknotes because basically they're very neutral. Having an animal on a certain banknote shows what is popular in that country, geo-wise, a hood, maybe? Crocodile and a stork. I'm surprised that this hasn't actually occurred on the notes already. We've had sphinxes illustrated on our banknotes, but a cat. And a cat in ancient times was a big deal, and a cat in current Egypt they're just everywhere. So I thought cats, even though I'm not a cat person. Also dogs, because they're called baladi dogs. Even though across the world they have their own type of baladi dogs depending on the area, but our baladi dogs, they reflect the balad. In my previous video I was over there behind the Egyptian flag, and we currently have an eagle on the Egyptian flag. Should we include the eagle? Nature meaning trees, plants, flowers, etc. Yes, Egypt is, I don't know, percentage, 90%, 70% Sahara, which means desert. So the desert, that's called desert, but there are animals and plants and things. You'll find on a lot of banknotes people. People have been included on banknotes for a long time, usually kings and queens, whoever runs the country. It's like, I run the country and you're gonna remember that because I'm on your money. In regards to Egypt has never really had that many people on it. Only one of them actually was put on it, and that was the last king. So maybe it's not a good idea to put people on banknotes. It can kind of be controversial to put people on banknotes, whether you are commemorating who they are and what they've done. There's always going to be somebody that's like, I don't like that person, they do not deserve that. Tunisia, our neighbor, recently put the first ever female on their banknote. And we have, very obviously, places where in Egypt should be represented. There are a lot of places in Egypt. Egypt is pretty big, and so far, or currently, only Cairo really is being represented, and a little bit of Aswan, and that's ancient Egypt, Aswan, and yeah, that's about it. And the rest of Egypt's like, hello, we exist, and we have some representation. Red Sea, Mediterranean Sea. We have two seas, very nice seas. One has a lot of corals and fish. The other is just as blue as can be. Siwa needs to be represented because it's a very unique place. It is a part of Egypt, and has a lot of history, has a lot of culture. They have like their own, the Amazigh language, which is nothing like in Egyptian. I found that out when I went to Siwa. I only went there once and I would love to go there again. I went in 2010, and the guy who was taking us on the tour, I never realized he spoke Amazigh. He was just speaking a language that I didn't know.
رصاط ما دام لا غير رصاط شك بخير مكتوب حتى كما تيصير ملاعب خلاص مش كتير كلام زرت كان دي تقلت اني تقرا تقول اني جيرا قرب قبل تخرج قلت اني جيرا وكسخره.
What language is there? It was only until I went to a design conference in Egypt that I understood what the heck Amazigh was, and it was very interesting. It might not be a very good visual for a banknote, but I think we can work through it. It's the blue hole. This idea came up because it is a very unique hotspot, is the blue hole. Now this isn't a very good visual. It's basically a blue hole. But I had this idea because it's a very big hotspot for tourists and divers. Like a diver might go to Egypt and only go to Blue Hole and nowhere else in Egypt. And also it's a very unique part of the world. There's not a lot of blue holes in our blue planet. Architecture is a big yes for me. I really like architecture. I think everyone admires architecture to some point. I mean, they live in it, they look at it. Things that haven't already been portrayed is places like Port Said's wooden houses. That's a pretty unique place. Nubian houses, yes. Pyramids, I don't think we should. It's obvious pyramids, let's not go there. Also with architecture, the new capital, where we are supposed to be printing these banknotes, some of that should be visualized in this, as well as maybe the Grand Egyptian Museum. Even though Hatshepsut has been portrayed, the Temple of Hatshepsut has not. So if we are going to include some sort of ancient Egypt, I feel like that is the temple. Now, if you really want to show the history and the age of Egypt, there's something beyond ancient Egypt. I know, it's crazy. There are quite a few cave paintings in Egypt that I don't think that many people know about, and I would really like to include it on the banknotes. And yeah, those are the ideas I have so far. And all these things can be combined visually. Sometimes you'll see it straight away, it's going to be very obvious on the banknotes. And another way is through UV light, which basically you get a fancy light and you look at the note under the UV and magically a different picture appears as if out of nowhere. So you can include a lot more than you see. Hope you like this video. Subscribe to see the last part, hopefully, of this mini series I'm making about Egyptian banknotes, where I will show you my designs.
بلد الحرية كم مرة شيء